I would like to begin by asking you about the famed G-spot, you know,
Yes.
because which, you also know it's not a spot but a zone. But the thing is, in Kerala there are doctors who perform G-spot injections. I find it really shocking. Like, and even people believe that because they are doctors, they do this injection without any robust scientific backing or evidence. What I want to understand from you is what are the potential harm which can happen to women because of this cultural obsession with G-spot, and also because of these treatments like G-spot enhancement, which is not backed by any scientific research or evidence.
Hmm. I would say, yeah, just that the G-spot enhancement shots, they do them in the US too. They might even do them in Canada. And it's been happening for over 20 years with as you said, no evidence whatsoever. And what we think of as the G-spot is now been renamed as the clitoral urethral vaginal complex.
Correct.
And so it's a group of tissues. So it's the clitoris, both externally and internally. And then you have the vestibular bulbs. There is this spongy tissue that gets engorged when people get aroused. And that's what we think of as the G-spot. So that's where on the anterior wall of the vagina, about 2 inches up, if you press there, when someone is aroused, that would be a sensitive spot for many people.
Yeah.
But there's no actual spot. So just
Right.
injecting something doesn't do anything. Because the sensitivity and the only comes when the person is aroused and those tissues are engorged. And so I think the obsession with the G-spot is harmful because then it also brings us back to penetration as the main goal of sex.
Correct.
But it's actually, in many positions, it's hard for a penis, for example, to even hit that area
Very good. Yeah.
because it's so close inside. There are certain positions where it might stimulate it more, but most people have orgasms from external clitoral stimulation.
Correct.
And so it was in the 70s, at least in the US and Canada, where we started really understanding the clitoris again, because it
Yeah.
had been deleted from medical literature. And when there was this wave of free love and sexual pleasure, we started realizing how important the clitoris was again and talking about external stimulation. And then in the 1980s, the G-spot was essentially rediscovered by Beverly Whipple. She started writing about it. And so then it went back to penetration as being the goal for sex. And so I think this obsession with G-spot stimulation or squirting from G-spot stimulation kind of distracts from individual people and how they get pleasure. And for many people, that is from external stimulation that has nothing to do with a penis.
Correct. Also, the fact that it is not something that is there in all women can add to insecurities, right? Sexual
Mhm.
insecurities and a lot of, discomfort about their own sexuality among a lot of women, right?
Hmm. And it does, those structures exist in all women, but for some people it's just not a sensitive spot. It doesn't
Correct.
bring them pleasure. And but you're right, this idea that you should get pleasure from it even if you don't. For some people it's really uncomfortable actually. Like
Correct.
that stimulation almost can be painful, or just feel like nothing. And for some people it feels amazing. But yeah, this idea that that's the where you're supposed to feel
Yeah.
stimulated or that's where it's supposed to feel good, I think you're right, is very harmful because it then makes people feel insecure if they don't experience pleasure from that.
So, Doctor, again, I'm forced to ask the same question. So, how much of our cultural assumption on sex has actually influenced even the sex researchers and doctors in approaching and looking at sex when it comes to, problems relating to orgasm difficulty in women?
I think we can never underestimate how much the cultural influence has on everyone, and especially researchers, right? If you're raised in a world that says penis vagina intercourse is the main thing, then you're going to study that and you're going to focus that. And I think there's just this male bias that in most cultures that we live
Yeah.
with the assumption that what works for men is also best for women. And of course, we know that's just not the case. And so everyone is influenced by these social influences, even researchers.